Hello, good morning. Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Monique here. How does my hair go? I don't even know. Oh my gosh. I could see it backwards. There we go. Oh, I think Frank just texted me. If you're here, Frank. Yes, I am live. Hold on here. YouTube. Hold on. YouTube. I just got back from a client meeting. So sorry, I'm a teeny bit late. Monique Renee here, photographer here in the green room of Silver Paw Studio. I was just at the studio for a client meeting, delivering all of her order. She loved it. So we got to talking, and yeah, it was a great visit. I always seem to make friends with my clients, and she was awesome. She got canvas and frame prints and an album, and we just talked about the session and talked about our life goals, and it was so great. So that's why I like rushed home and got everything ready. So here we are. Hi, Heather. Hello. How are you? Hi. I'm trying to think what I want to talk about. Oh, there's Frank. Hey, Frank. Hello. Good afternoon. Good to see you again. I worked with Frank today at the cat rescue, which was great. I hadn't been back in months. And Frank, I am just now loading all of those pictures onto my computer. The status bar shows half imported. So every Monday morning, I volunteer at Animal Friends Alliance, and I always go to the dog side on one side of town, and Frank goes to the cat side. And when I can, we get together and do the kitties together because kitties. So I was able to go out again and see Frank and photograph. I think what I do, 2 or 3 kitties, and I did 2 doggies at the dog side. So not a whole lot today, but that's all right. I've had so much going on in my studio and my life lately. I went to see my grandson and my daughter and family in Georgia, and I was actually able to film two YouTube videos, one of which comes out this Friday. That's a little bit silly. I don't know, like I don't think I got too many end pictures, and there's a lot of things I would have done differently that I talk about. I do talk about that in the video. Yeah, good to see you today too. Whoop whoop, Frank's the best. Sorry, this is a little bit glitchy. I think it's because Lightroom's still loading. My computer. So I filmed 2 videos there. One was a spin-off. Hey, how are you? Yaxon, remind me, is that your first name? How should I address you? One of the videos, the video you'll see Friday that I photographed, she has 2 dogs now. My daughter now has 2 big dogs. And we did one to spin off of what people do normally with babies and maternity pictures. So you'll have to wait and see on that. It was pretty fun. I don't see many pet photographers do this. Okay. So you want to be watching Friday morning for this video. And I hope to do an update of it when I get you'll see. You'll see. And then I did another one. I'm again not sure how well it turned out. I haven't even looked at the final images or the video, but we did a fun video of the 2 dogs just having fun in the backyard. So, Senor Yaxon. Okay. Oh, that's your last name. Gotcha. Okay. Yay. All right. So I've got those videos coming up. I feel like there's something else. Oh, you're not going to believe it. Don't look. Don't look back there. Oh, you can't look. No looking. Y'all know I've been on this quest to find a camera bag, and I think I found one. And I think today I'm going to film the last segment of that. So that video will be coming out in a week and a half or so. I got a few in the works here. I have also been working really hard with my husband on our wildlife, nature, and landscape photography YouTube channel. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me make a banner. I don't know if I've got one. It's called, oops, I can't spell. Oh, I really can't spell. Okay, it's called Cattail Chronicles on YouTube. And it started off because I live on what's called Cattail Pond. And so during quarantine, I was just taking a lot of wildlife pictures when I didn't have client work to do. And so I just made an Instagram page, Cattail Chronicles, and would here and there put wildlife imagery in there and nature, flowers, whatever, just fun stuff. And that's Steve's whole thing. And so I finally convinced him to start a YouTube channel, which is also called Cattail Chronicles. And that's just fun. Him and I going out and just doing something very different than what I normally do here on this channel. So having a lot of fun with that. And we're actually gearing up to go on a little road trip from here down through Colorado. Let me make that banner go away real quick. In about 3 weeks, I guess, mid-September, he and I are going to take a road trip from here down through Colorado to Santa Fe and then back up through home. So we're going to make a little loop and we're going to film several videos for the Cattail Chronicles page. So I've got to get all of these videos for you here done too. And I've got some really cool ideas. I'm going to do one on marketing. I'm going to do one on pricing. Those are 2 questions that get asked so much. And I know I've searched for them. And I know people in the Facebook group, the Pro Pet Photog Facebook group, have asked about that too, especially coming up on what's typically a very busy season with the fall colors and the cooler temps and the holidays, back to school, whatever it is. Many of us are very busy in portraiture taking these pictures for clients. So I want to set you up for success there. And just as a reminder, I'm fast talking today. So if you're watching this on the replay, hi, hello, you can play this at 75% speed if I am going too quickly for you. Check out propetphotog.com because I had a call right before my trip to Georgia and she needed some advice like right then. So if you want a one-to-one private conversation with me, sign up there. That's a really good place to connect with me and we can talk on phone or on Zoom. And I have done just general consulting there. I can look at your portfolio if you'd like, whatever burning questions you have. We have about a 45-minute call. So that's available on propetphotog.com. I have some free resources there. I have some low-cost resources, some courses. We have the community center membership. All great stuff. Also our free group, bit.ly/ProPetPhotogFB, all lowercase, Facebook group. That's free. That's open for everyone. And oh my gosh, I haven't started this yet, everybody, but my Tales with Tales podcast, I think I'm going to semi-retire that and make a Pro Pet Photog podcast. And I'm not sure exactly the format of that or if that'll only be tied into membership. I don't think so, though. It's going to be an open one, but it's going to talk more about what we talk about right here on the YouTube channel and maybe a little bit more behind the scenes. So like if you're on the newsletter list, you get to know a little bit more of what happened and what my thought process was behind the YouTube videos. Because as you know, these, hi Bailey, these YouTube videos are what, 10 to 20 minutes long. They're not nearly enough to tell you everything that happened and all my thoughts behind these things. So I'm pretty excited to share some of that on the podcast on just an audio format. So, oh yeah, you can't wait to see. Yeah. I did make some compromises, but it's perfect for me so far. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're welcome. I hope that worked out for you. Yeah. So Bailey came in here for some crazy reason. She never comes in while I live stream. Come here, Bay. I think her tummy's a little upset today. Come on, honey. Yeah. So what are you doing? Oh, maybe she's not feeling well today. Say hi. Good doggy. So, wow, a cameo visit by Bailey. Hello, honey. Are you okay? Are you sniffing me? I don't have anything for you. What? Say hi, everybody. Say hi. Hello. Okay. Hey, Patty. Yay. Hello. Glad you made it. Bailey made a cameo, so we're just enjoying that for a minute. I know. Yeah, Frank, she never does this. Unless she's like stressed out. Like I cooked some rice in the rice cooker and the beeping of that she doesn't like. I'm not sure what the deal is. And then I think she's had too many licky mats and that like she collects a lot of air and then she has an upset stomach. So once it cools off, we'll go for a little walk and she'll feel better and she get to chase buns. Right, Bailey? You see Bunny? What? Is there a rabbit? Where's the bunny? Where's the bunny? Where is it? That's just mean, right? Okay. So this is hello. Heather says hello. This is the monthly open Q&A here on YouTube. Ask me what you want to ask me. It could be about a recent episode. It could be about pet photography, the craft, the business side, in between. Whatever you have as a burning question. I know there's usually so many questions. Sometimes you get on the spot and you're like, I had 10 questions a second ago. Where'd they go? So just when you think of it, type it here in the chat. If you're on the replay, type it in the comments and I will see that. YouTube's good about giving me the notifications when I have comments. So if you have questions for me, now is the time. And what else? Let me look at what I've been posting so I can give you an idea. Let's see. Yes. So the video that went out on Friday, I was talking about, was that this Friday? Yeah. The 6 tasks to starting your business, how it's much simpler than we think it is. So if you have questions on that video, there's that. Should you make the leap to go pro? Go professional. And how do you decide if you're going to? Are you okay, honey? Oh, there you go. Okay. So Bailey's saying goodbye. Things like that. What else? The staff photos I did with their pets. If you have questions on that, those are just my most recent videos. So pull from those if you want. Patty, still editing your photos from the shelter. Hope to deliver tomorrow. 2 you can't post yet. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I was just meeting with a client. That's why I was like frantically getting here to start on time. I was delivering her order and I was telling her when I do client sessions, I try not to post any pictures until they've got the order in their hands. Like if I do a sneak peek, then maybe I'll ask, but I almost never sneak peek online because I don't know if these are for gifts or a surprise or something, or if it's for when they start their new job and that's going to be, I've started my new job, so I never share. And I know there's reasons why we don't want to share sometimes for the shelters too. Maybe they're not quite ready for adoption. But it's so hard sometimes when you have these pictures like, I really want to share this. It was such a great session. And now that she's gotten all of the photos and she can share them with her family, she's like, I'm going to start sharing these online now. And don't worry, I'll tag you. I'm like, that'd be great. She was so awesome. Yeah. Discover this not worth removing harnesses. They're difficult to remove out. Like, tell me about it. Right. I know. I think I just did a session and I did a couple. Oh, when was this? I did a couple of examples of the harness fully removed, just a couple of examples out of the whole session. And I think they like those, but it's so much work. And I feel like I'm not that good at it either. Yeah. So I usually try to tell people if your dog does well enough with just a collar on, that would be great. But some dogs, you take them out into the fields or somewhere like high, what's it called? Like they're going to get attention from everything. Like, ooh, let's go over here and let's go over here and let's go over here. Like some dogs, you just have to. And at the shelters, they often require that they have 2 forms on there. So like the collar and the harness. So I get that. I know. I'm lucky at Animal Friends that we have a big enclosed high fence place that they could run around in, and they don't need to wear any of their gear. So we just had them choose what they want to wear. And so that's nice. Let's see. The 2 I can't post, one's pregnant. Oh, okay. Subject of a shooting. Yeah. Oh, darn it. Yeah, those are rough when you get those. Yeah, every once in a while there's those kind of cases, especially if you go to some that are like some rescues are attached to animal control and animal services for your area. So yeah, you can get some in there. But if you took photos like that'll eventually be adoption photos, that means maybe they're getting close to having them for adoption. That's awesome that you were able to get in there and get those. Oh gosh. Yeah, the tripods do surprisingly well, don't they? Like we would get all emotional about the whole thing and the dogs are like, let's go. My leg gone. It doesn't hurt anymore. Isn't that interesting about dogs? I don't know. Maybe if we walked around on 4 legs, it'd be different for us too. Oh, I hope we can get adopted soon. I know some people that's like their thing. When they adopt a dog, they really want a tripod because it's harder to adopt those out, I think. Yeah. Today, so what I was doing at my shelters was on Sunday nights, I would text the front desk manager and he would tell me who might be available for photos the next day because I do drive a half an hour to that shelter and then I drive another 10 or 15 minutes across town to the cat shelter. And so it takes all morning every Monday, which is okay. But I tell them if they don't have at least 3 dogs, I can't make the trip out. And they have a pretty high adoption rate. So we were a little bit disappointed. I didn't check in with him last night. They actually had 5 dogs adopted yesterday, I guess. It's a smaller place. So 5 is a lot. That would have been available for photo stay. So it's fine. But both me and my helper were like, well, I guess we have 2. And then I went over and photographed kitties with Frank here. And I think I did 2 or 3. It was kind of fun to get the table out. So, oh, that's another thing. Can I help? Can I tell you all a secret? Okay, if you have seen my video on here that I did like 2 years ago on building my tabletop studio, I'm doing version 2.0. Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited. I had this idea because the shelter that Frank and I work at, they actually have room for one. And I said, "Oh, maybe I'll just build you one." Wait, maybe I can build a better one. So I'm gonna work on that. Ah! And I hope that I get that out to you before we go on our Santa Fe trip. So that's done and you can build it and like use it right away. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm telling you all my secrets today. What have you done? You're like, you got my arm behind my back. Oh gosh, let's see. Your shelter is part of animal control. Yeah. Yay, awesome. Yeah, I used to do some work at our county shelter, and sometimes there was interesting cases there, but I didn't do enough there to see very many. Yeah, and I think they have someone who's been doing their photos for like years and years and years. So I don't know what they're doing right now. I feel like I kind of have my arms full. Frank, I've not photographed less than 5. Oh, when you're at the dog side? So when I'm not there, Frank goes over to the dog side and does all the dogs too. So yeah, it's interesting. Some weeks there's a bunch and some there's not. I don't know. It's when the transports come in or something. Um, oh, and Frank and I, if you saw the Weld County, the what do we call that, Frank? I call it a marathon, the photography marathon. Let's see how many we can photograph in a morning. We're going to go back out there in a couple of weeks. And I wasn't sure if I was going to film a YouTube video on this. I might do some filming just for them to have, but they take their dogs. They have walkers, volunteer dog walkers that come out and they get them all harnessed up and they walk kind of across the street. There's a park and a river. And so they get to go play over there in the water. So Frank and I were talking about that today. We're going to go out there in 2 weeks and get some pictures of them in the water and playing and get some regular adoption pictures too. What do you think? Do y'all want to see the video, behind the scenes video of that? I think you probably would. Anything that I think is a good idea, I usually get good reception on, unless it's kind of boring stuff. And then everyone's like, well, I guess it's probably a good idea if I watch that. But I think adoptable dogs on a walk, out in nature, playing in a river, like Frank's gonna get in the river. Like it's shallow. It's like basically a creek, is from what I understand. Well, some of the rivers in Colorado are oftentimes creeks to me because I grew up in the Northwest. And so, but you do have to be careful. They fill up real fast, the rivers around here, just with flash flooding and farming. So, yeah. Dogs and water and cameras, Frank. Dogs, water, cameras. What? What could be boring and what can go wrong? Like, I should probably just film it just for that. Let's see if we fall in the water. Okay. I said I would put the cover on my GoPro so I can submerge it. And I just film with my ZB1, I think. And then Frank will be filming too, because Frank's video too. Yeah, and I'm hoping Frank can hook me up with the dog as my co-pilot because I want to fly. I want to go out and go with one of these pilots and take you along with me. I want to video that. And then Frank could be on the ground as we come in because he does a lot of video of them coming in. What do you think, Frank? Is that a good idea? Yes, please. Sounds great. Okay. So, oh my gosh, I've given you all so many ideas of what I might post here soon. I know you're all already subscribed, but if you know anyone else, sometimes shelter staff and volunteers could use this information. When I was out of the shelter a couple weeks ago, they had some of their staff come in just to pick my brain about the photography, like with their phone. So when they get a dog intake, I don't know what part of the staff they're at. I think they're marketing. And so they had all these questions on best ways to photograph the cats, especially, and the dogs. And surprisingly, they hadn't seen a lot of the videos that I have here. So I put together a list for them of things that I thought would be beneficial for them to watch for shelter photography. So a lot of you may know other volunteer or shelter photographers that could get some benefit out of this channel too. So I invite you to invite them to come along and see some of this as well. Frank, yay. Hey, you're going to put in a good word for me, huh? Doug is my co-pilot. That would be so great. I love flying. And I did go on a flight once. I think I put that in my story time last December. It was so great. I just love little planes, helicopters, hot air balloons. I went on a hot air balloon ride a couple weeks ago, and I did some video there, but I haven't posted it yet. So I just love flying, and then flying with dogs and with cameras and over Colorado or Kansas or wherever we go. Hello, heaven. Oh gosh. So that's what I love to do. Dogs playing in water, dogs on a rescue flight, marketing, pricing. I mean, I got it all here for you, right? I don't do it as much in the computer type things. Although I am going to show you how I designed my albums. I just got a client album in. I did that challenge week 10, which was that whole album full of images of Bailey. And I'm going to do a recording of me building that album, like designing it and then ordering it. And then you'll see it when it comes in. So designing albums is not as hard as you think. It's actually pretty easy with some basic programs, and clients just love them. So I'm going to do a breakdown of that too and tell you what companies I use for that. Overall, I don't do a lot of editing or really technical videos here. But let me know if there's something, if you see a gap that you're like, but I really need to know this, Monique, let me know. And I'll make a video for you. Yeah. PPI started pet photography lessons. Have you heard of this? Yes. So historically, PPA, Professional Photographers of America, I've been a member for many years. Frank just joined. If you're in the US, I highly recommend PPA if you're a pet photographer. PPA and Hearts Speak, both of those. Now, PPA has, if you look in their EDU section, Frank, there are a couple of like slide decks or, old presentations, usually by Kim Hartz or Margaret Bryant, or maybe Barbara Brightsmeter. So for many years, they just had those three, maybe Arica Dorf, but she was more on Creative Live. So they kind of only had a rotation of those three. And it was like getting old because Kim Hartz would repeat her program. I'm like, wait a minute, I went to this last year. It's the exact same program. I digress. So they have another person that's giving a presentation in September that I suggest you go to, but you have to be there. I emailed her to see if it'll be recorded because I'll be out of town. I'll be in Santa Fe. And she's like, nope, it's one of those PPA says you got to be there. I'm like, okay. But they have started a little bit more of a little track for pet photography, which is smart. There's so many of us. It's an upcoming thing. And it'd be great for us to learn from other pros and the business side, which PPA is good at. So I'm really glad they're offering more. And I'm still honestly on the fence, Frank, about going to imaging, partly because COVID. So we'll see where the world is at in January or close to January, right? So I probably want to book tickets by November, end of November. And then it feels overwhelming to go to Washington, D.C. So I'm just not sure about going to imaging in 2022. But usually it's a great time. I have a video on here that I did of just interviewing people to give their number one pet photography advice, because there used to be, I don't know if there still is, a whole group of pet photographers that would get together, I think the night before, somewhere we get these ginormous hotels with like atriums and things. And so a bunch of us pet photographers got together, just kind of catch up, get a group picture. They were talking about that animal makers conference or something that they were doing for a while. So I got a video there, but If you have a secret for removing harnesses, let me know. Patty, I just do kind of, well, Photoshop, not Lightroom. Lightroom does not do well with that. I just use every single tool. I just see which one will work best. Will Healing Brush do it? Will Clone work? Will their, what's the new one? Content Aware, a patch tool. I I really like it when I have a picture, any picture of the dog where the harness is somewhere else and I can just composite because usually it's right here and they have all that swirly hair that's in a specific pattern for that dog. And so if I have one picture without the harness, oh, yay. Or if the harness has shifted, then I'll clone in those pieces. But usually it's just a lot of fine tuning. Or, you can crop into a headshot. Or if they say, if like you have a client and they say, "Oh, I really love this. If I could do it without the harness, then don't do it until I order it." So that's another thing too, is then really take your time and fine tune it after they've ordered. But for the shelter dogs, I mean, do a little bit of it if you can, just to get your skills up. But the shelters I find don't usually mind that much. Um, it's a little different, but I don't really have a secret besides try every tool. You live near DC, mindful of traffic. Yeah, so they suggest staying at the hotel. They have like a 40% discount on the hotel for a certain number of rooms. And so you don't have to even go anywhere. All I have to do is get from the airport to the venue and everything is encapsulated. I think it's probably one of the Gaylord type hotels. So everything is there. I don't know. I'm just being weird about it. I'm trying to talk Steve into going. Like maybe he'll go and then he can go do a photo thing and kind of take a little bit of a vacation. He hates vacation. He just loves working. You tried all the tools too. Yes, it's really hair is a problem, right? Yeah. So you're talking about, so Patty, let me ask you, are you talking about at the shelters? So if you're at the shelter and you're out and about, they may not be allowed to. So obviously, there's that. But if you're in an enclosed space, they always ask, "Oh, should I take their stuff off?" I said, "Yeah," right away. So if we're in an enclosed space, they take off all their gear. Unless there's a problem with getting it back on the dog, and then we put a bandana. So get some big bandanas. Because that will cover it and you'll have no trouble. So there's step number one. If you're on about, you can't change it, get some big bandanas. I just had one of the volunteers donate a whole bunch more bandanas. They're adorable. So there's that. But if they're in an enclosure, take all that stuff off, have your own leashes. You've seen my big boxes of stuff. I have leashes and collars and bow ties and bandanas and flowers and all kinds of stuff in that, like that stack of bins that I've got organized. So do that if you can. If they're out on a walk, I'd say just tie a bandana on there. That is probably the best you'll do. With a client dog, yeah, see what you can do to only wear a collar. I get clients that are really nervous, like, "Oh, they're not very good off leash." I said, "They don't have to be off leash, but maybe not the harness if they're safe, Yeah. Shelter. This is the first time they had a dog with a harness. Okay. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, so you know how they're all a little bit different, and some shelters require the harness, like 2 things on them, and I know our shelter does. If you're out walking the dog, then you have to have a harness and the collar on, and, like, a connection between the 2 of them, because some dogs have slipped out because they have big areas, open areas they can walk the dog in around the shelter. So it's a safety thing, but yeah, sometimes it's, um they just don't know that they could take it off. So definitely check with that shelter because they might be able to, and then you can just take charge. And so when you have your helper out there, just go, "Okay, this is what I normally do. We normally take off the harness, leave the collar, put a bandana on, take the pictures, and you can put all their gear back on." If they're not comfortable with that, fine, just put the bandana on and you're good to go. Frank and I are kind of lucky that we have a high adoption rate. And so they're really adopted out quickly. So when I sometimes don't have time to edit the harness off, I'll email them and they're like, "Yeah, we didn't even notice that the harness was on. The picture's good." So often they're just kind of looking at the picture overall, just happy to have something that's not dark in a cage. So there's that too, Patty. leash that is used for show dogs should be easier. I need to get a couple of those just to keep in my bag and keep in my boxes at the shelter. I was thinking that today, or a slip lead that's really easy to edit. They're not always the most secure if you're out and about, though. Oh, yeah. Oh, the new person felt more comfortable. That's a conversation to have with them for sure. Because I always want my helpers to feel safe too. Um, but yeah, ask them about that. They they might misinterpret the rules too. So I've had people do that, and I've done it. Like, oh, I thought they had to be in all this all the time, and they're like, no, as long as you're inside the shelter, you're good. So sometimes it's just a matter of everybody getting on the same page, and then work at your comfort level. And if you have someone that's that uncomfortable, then you might need a new helper, because if you thought the dog was fine, like behaviorally, it wasn't. Their cage card said it was like a green card, or was a fine, like no issues kind of a dog, you know what I mean? Like, then it should have been fine without a halter. So that's maybe a conversation to have, or get a different helper. I don't know. Or again, just do the bandana trick. Oh gosh, we have a little more leeway at the shelters, don't we? Yeah, but I have done some taking off the harness. And what's funny, Patty, too, is sometimes we zoom in. We're so zoomed in that we can see these tiny little things, right? But then what happens is we send this off just as a digital that people are going to see on their phone. It's going to be like this big, and they're never going to notice that. So some of it is just us letting go of our perfection when it comes to that. Like, I get perfection. I'm not a perfectionist generally, but I want to make sure that that swirl on the chest of that dog is the right swirl, right, for a client. But for shelter dogs, sometimes you get it close enough, and it's nice to have that distraction gone. It doesn't have to be perfect. I've never had someone come in and say, you know what? The swirl of their chest hair wasn't right according to the picture. So I have to tell myself that all the time. So give yourself a little bit of a break too, Patty, because I know that you're detail oriented like I am. All right, what time we have? Oh, it's 3:30 already. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to ask you all. Um, if you go, I don't have screen share ready to go right now, but if you go onto Pro Pet Photog, I have added some new things in there. I don't know if y'all know this, but I add things probably once a month. Let me see if I can make this screen share for you. How do I do that? Let's see. Screen share. Oh, you mean the button with the screen share? Let's do this one. And so, I got to take that banner away. Over here, we got Pro Pet Photog, right? And I've been adding some resources, just so you know. I think I mentioned it in the last video. So there's a bunch in here that are free. If you don't know this, there's a bunch of free stuff in here. There's a few things that I've added in the last couple of months. My portrait pricing menu. This is a Canva template. It's super cool. You open it, it opens in your Canva, whether you have a free or a paid Canva account, doesn't matter. And you could lay out a really pretty pricing menu that you can present to your clients, just like mine. So I worked really hard on that. That's in there. My 8 email sequence. If you have I should do a video on this. Like, I have Honeybook and I used to have 17 hats, and you have this whole workflow or sequence of emails that you send to your clients. I've written them all for you. There you go. Here's the 6 tasks to launch your pet photography business. This is the video I did last week. So that's in there. And I'll be adding more. My goal is every month. So I just want to make sure that you knew that that was happening, because I know you don't, unless you're in the community center over here. You may not know that those are going in there. And I often forget to tell you. So I do have a community center membership. Here's some more information about that. So there's all kinds of things that I've got scattered throughout Pro Pet Photog and the courses and things like that. All right. So wanted to just touch bases and let you know those resources are there for you. And I always come up with ideas, but I want it to be ideas that you want. So if there's a resource you're like, I wish I had this, let me know. Okay. Hello, Lisa. Lisa, what do you got? Any tips on time management? Still full-time in a normal job, pushing a dog photography. Okay. Trying to balance marketing, editing, financing, taxes, learning new skills, and actually taking dog photos. Okay. Woo. Lisa, First of all, dang, girl. That is a lot. Give yourself a pat on the back for being able to do all of that all at once. It was too difficult for me to do that I mean, I did it. Like I worked at a vet hospital for a long time and it was kind of on the side that I was doing this, but I tend to work myself into management. So then here I'm managing the front desk or wherever, whatever I was doing, working. And so it's really hard for me to pull myself in both those directions, like have two full-time careers. At that time, though, I was also like early 40s. So I felt like I didn't have as much stamina either. And I still had one kid at home and that kind of thing. So pat on the back for just trying to get all that done. What I have now is, you can see it right here, is my whiteboard. And I have a whole video on YouTube. Let me see if I can get to that. And I'll put a link here on how I decided to put together that whiteboard. I don't even know if I've got it listed as whiteboard. It's been a minute, hasn't it? Okay. Yeah. It's called analog sometime stuff. Okay. Shareable link. I'm going to put it down here for you, Lisa. Check out the video I just put in the chat. That is how I went about. I'm gonna lift up my my webcam here, okay, everybody. There's my whiteboard, and I have magnets on there. Okay, so my magnets are these, and oh yeah, this one's really thick, and I can cut them in half if I need to. You see, some of those are kind of in half, and I've got a Monday through Friday on the right side, or the left side, sorry. In the middle is kind of ongoing projects and notes to myself. And on the right side, right next to my desk, is what I'm going to do like today and this week. And so I'm very deliberate about that. I have a do this first magnet that with an arrow, do this first. So I know when I sit down at my desk and I feel overwhelmed by everything, I know I have not only these 3 or 4 things I need to do, but this one needs to be done first. Whatever's going to move the needle, Lisa. And so oftentimes it's the things that we're avoiding. Do you ever find that? It's okay, I got to do this and this and this. Let me do these things first. And, eventually I'll get to this. And that's really the thing you need to work on. So really take an honest look at what you need to do. And it might be that you need to do whatever, more Facebook posts instead of more blog posts. Or maybe you need to, one thing, like you got to set up your bank account. You've been just like avoiding setting up a bank account because that's the boring thing, right? So definitely sit down and really think of your priorities and be realistic about the time that you have. If you think these things are going to move the needle, it doesn't have to be 1 to 100, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Okay. Give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself a win at each of those milestones, because those are milestones closer to your goal than you were 2 days ago. Okay. So it's a little pep talk here too, Lisa, rah, rah. And then really honestly look at, okay, I am going to dedicate these 4 hours to these 3 tasks, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do, and I'm going to be done. Or maybe that's just a way to get yourself started and you really set aside 8 hours. Sometimes all we need is to give ourselves that 5 minutes and then we go for 15. So do an honest look at what you actually need to do. Sometimes there's things buried in there, right? Yeah. And I'm happy to, Lisa, if you want to do a one-to-one on the Pro Pet Photog, there's a way to do that too. Then I can really help you kind of dive into those things. It's very overwhelming when you're trying to do both things. Okay. So give yourself a pat again, and then say this, and this is going to move the needle. What's the needle going towards? Is it you want to get 1 client a week? Is it you just want to get your website done? Is it what is it you're trying to get to? Instead of trying to do 10 things terribly, do 1 thing really good. So what are you trying to move that needle towards? And that's really complicated. I'm oversimplifying it. Yay. Okay. Heather, you're welcome. Let's see. Joe, you're new here. Yes, that's what we're doing right now, Joe. We're doing a pet photography Q&A, business and craft of Senor Yaxon. So organized. It seems so organized, doesn't it? Fairly new to the pet photography world as well. 1 year. Whoop, whoop. Thank you for doing these. You are welcome. I'm enjoying having another pet photographer to follow because you do some video pieces too, which is great. I'm loving that. Keep it up. Yes, you're welcome, Lisa. Yeah, time management it's one of those things that evolves. I think I talk about that a lot here on all of my different things. Like sometimes we want the answer, and the answer is going to take us a couple iterations that are very personal to us and our journey. And I have actually changed my word of the year. Now, my word of the year was build. I have three branches of my business. I have photography, videography, and here with ProPet Photog. Those are my three branches. Everything I do should have something to do with those three things. And so my word of the year was build. So not only was it building those three branches of my business, but it was also building my new marriage and building my new home, all of those kinds of things. And that's been great the first 6 months or so of the year. But I realized I'm kind of doing that anyway. I always kind of do that. And it's not a stretch for me to do that. It's a good reminder. So I have changed and I now have a phrase. And I thought of this while I was visiting my daughter and grandson. And I'll have to beep this. Enjoy the darn, enjoy the darn journey. I am terrible at this. I am that person who wants to go for a hike and there better be a waterfall or a vista at the end. But am I missing the wildflowers and the vistas in between and the conversations on the trail and the birds on the way? What am I missing on that journey? And I know this is probably not news to all of you. Everyone says, enjoy the journey, enjoy the journey. I'm like, yeah, but I got places to go, you know? So there might be all kinds of vistas along the way. There could be all kinds of moments along the way. So most of what you do for a business is going to run in iterations, and that's fine. My business is very different than it was 6 years ago, probably even 2 years ago. Let's be honest, right? And that's okay. We grow, we change, we shift. That's how we are. It's so much freedom that we have. Isn't that great? Yeah. All right. I've gone off on a tangent. Let's see. Heather, forgot to go a step at a time, that everything gets overwhelming. Yeah, it does. And, I have to say, when I did my coaching in Q1 with Jeff Shaw, and actually he has the Self-Employed Institute. The Self-Employed Institute starts in September and goes through January, I think. It's more expensive than you probably think you can afford. But if you think you can do it, I'll see if I can find a link. What's it under? Self-Employed Business Institute. Here we go. I'm going to put it in here because this is a 5-month intense program with Jeff Shaw, my coach. And it'd be worth every penny if you can afford this, because now I don't get overwhelmed. I have my systems in place. I have my mindsets in place. I have my habits in place, which I tell you, I was not always that person. I didn't know which things to do. When people say, oh, here's like 20,000 different habits and, different things, I didn't know where to start. And he helped fine tune that and personalize it to me and what would work for me and what would help my business and everything. So it was really, really good. But I'm to the point now where I'm not stressed out. I mean, I have a lot to do sometimes, but I don't feel frantic about it anymore. So I'm so thankful to Jeff Shaw and his programs. Listen to his Self-Employed Life podcast. It's number one, I think, for creative businesses, the number one podcast. And everything he does, obviously. I talk about Jeff Shaw a lot on here. We know this. His book is great. His two books are great. So do that. And owning your own business is a lot of personal growth as well. So keep that in mind too. Your business can't grow beyond what you have grown. So if you feel like you're here, that's where your business is going to be. If you can expand your bubble personal too, your business will expand as well. Does that make sense? It's a big topic. I know. Yeah. All right. When I'm learning a new skill, I need to be patient with yourself and not get frustrated. Oh my gosh. Yes. It's so hard to do though, isn't it? We're our own worst critic. And what's interesting is, like, Frank, you have a very supportive wife. If you said, oh, I'm so frustrated in this, I feel like I haven't gotten this far, she can, from an outside perspective, look at it and go, what are you talking about? That looks great, And so we're just so hard on ourselves. So it's good to have a cheerleading squad if you can. And I'm that for you all. I'm your cheerleaders for sure. So we're all our own worst critic, and it's easy to get frustrated. we're most of us, I think, are out of high school. And so when we're in that first 20 years of our life, 20 to 25, however long you go to college, you're in that learning mode, right? So you're learning and you're growing and you're intaking all this information. And then for some reason we hard stop that. That's like as soon as we're out of college, done. Hard stop, no more learning. And it's so hard to get back into that idea of it's going to be hard. I'm going to not do as well as I think. I'm not going to be a pro the second I do everything I want to do. We forget the process of learning that we went through for 2 decades of our life. Um, so give yourself some grace, like Frank's saying, and that you are okay to go through the process and learn as you go. None of us just pick up anything and just know it innately. So it's okay to go through that learning curve. Oh, Catherine. Okay, you're still in high school. Hello. Hi. Yay. Yes, same here, Frank. It's so great to hang out with you. Okay, yeah. Oh, thank you, Catherine. Yay. Yeah. I think I saw a picture on Instagram that you posted from Port Angeles, and my daughter was stationed there at one point. And I spent a lot of time in Port Angeles when I was going through a particularly hard time in my life a few years ago. I actually lived with her for a couple of months there. It's fantastic in Port Angeles. It's just, oh my gosh, gorgeous, gorgeous. So I'm so excited for you that you got to spend time in a beautiful area. I can relate. Yeah. So Joe, if you're still here, do you have questions for me? It does say Q&A. What do you got for me? I'm not the end all be all though. That's why we have all these other fantastic people here in the chat that can also answer these questions. I like to have a community. That's why I called my membership the community center. I didn't want it to be an academy or, anything like that where I'm like the head of the class. And yeah, I'm going to give a lot of my advice, but I want everyone to kind of wrap around each other. So that's why I'm so excited about having this community center that I'm building. So yeah, check it out. Ask me any questions you want to about that as well. Thank you. Yes. Slowly getting systems in place. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and there's just not that many pet photographers on YouTube with the millions of creators out there. Like there is definitely a place for you here on YouTube and wherever else you want to post videos. It's still a bit of a mystery to a lot of people and overwhelming to add video to everything else that we do. But it's so needed. It's so fun to see like, okay, this is you out doing this session because you did one recently that was a girl and her dog, right? And to see how you went around interacting with her and posing her and the dog and the location you chose and the equipment you chose, like that is so unique to every session, don't you think? And we could watch 100 of those and still learn something new because everything has its own little nuances to it. So I love watching your videos and other there's one other pet photographer on here. She does Jess, that Tog Spot now. So she does a lot with horses and dogs and things like that too. But we're pretty much it. So there's definitely room for a lot more of us. So join in. I love it. Yeah. And you joined as a professional in the industry in a strange time in the world. So you will have stories for sure. Yay. So this is your chance to ask questions for another couple of minutes. So I try to keep these to 1 hour. Okay. And then I have these pictures to edit and another session I need to edit. So, and videos to create and all this fun stuff. And maybe my dog for a walk. If it gets cooler, I'm going to take my poor little pupper for a walk. If you have any other last minute questions, let me know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I usually have a list of notes for you that I want to make sure. Let me look at my other screen here. I don't think there's anything else. If you like wildlife photography, again, check out Cattail Chronicles, the channel that I'm running with my husband. That's been really fun. We go out with our big cameras, or our long lenses, for wildlife. So we have adventures. And check out Pro Pet Photog website and the Facebook group. And I'm trying to be better on the Instagram. Share everything on there. Remember, use hashtag ProPetPhotog. I need to go through and look and see what y'all have posted. Once a month, we are here live to the public doing Q&As. As I grow the community center, we'll have private Q&As, group Q&As there too. Right now, I have just a few members there, so we're actually doing private one-to-ones if you're in that level. So yeah. Let's see. Did you have another question? If you're taking photos of other animals, maybe even exotic ones. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So mostly for the shelters. So I've done chinchillas and ferrets and lizards and turtles and ducks and roosters and pigs. And, I live in Colorado. So our shelters sometimes, like the big county one, they have everything goat and smaller. And I have clients that have horses, as does Frank. So I photograph horses. I am a friend. Actually, I wonder if she'd be willing to do a YouTube video with me. It's been a minute. I used to do Facebook Lives a lot, and she would be on my lives. The Northern Colorado Herpetological Society, and they do a lot of work with herps. So turtles, snakes, lizards, iguanas, bearded dragons, all those kinds of things. And she always has some ambassador animals and adoptable animals, and they do a ton of education in our area. And I think it would be super great to do a video on how to photograph them and just get some knowledge about them. So that's cool. I keep saying I want to get some kind of colorful exotic bird into the studio and do a really colorful photo session there. I haven't gotten about that yet. So I love to do that. So yeah, I've had experience photographing all kinds of different animals. Super fun. And if you photograph at the shelters, you will too. Let's see. Frank, horses. Yep. So Frank does a lot of horse video and photos. Hey, Morgan. Oh, thank you. I didn't even know you were here. Pipe in anytime. Oh, you do? Oh, yes. Thank you. Yeah, you commented today. Thank you very much. Those go out on Sunday mornings. That seems like a nice chill time to watch a landscape or wildlife video. Oh, yeah. I think I was asking about those. How big do those get, Patty? Are they pretty good size? I think I asked this too. I know every once in a while, I'm super shocked that the Northern Colorado Herp Society, they'll find like snapping turtles in ponds here. Like, I didn't know we had snapping turtles in Colorado. And those, like, ooh, they're kind of scary, right? But I think it would be super fun. And I know, like, her ambassador iguana, I've photographed him and he's really cool. And of course, the bearded dragons. I don't know. I just think they're all super interesting and cool to photograph. And have I set up the studio just right for them? That'd be kind of cool. Actually, now would be great because the air conditioning at my studio is broken still. And it's really, really warm in there. So all those critters would actually super like it. Okay, if you waited till the end, there's one more thing I want to talk to you about. Oh, okay, so not that big. There's one more thing. And I talked to Frank about this today. We might do a little bit of a collab, or he might help me with some camera work. Is I've had people ask for the dog photography one-on-one course. I've done cat photography one-on-one. If you've been around, you know I have cat photography one-on-one course, or 101, and I filmed that probably 4 years ago. So that's getting a little bit older, but still great information. And people have asked, when are you going to do dog photography one-on-one? When are you going to do dog photography one-on-one as a course? And that is one of my new goals for the next maybe 6 months, because it's going to be a pretty robust course, and it'll be built for pro pet photographers. Not that it's going to be that much different, but it's not going to be like, here's how you make these astounding pictures for contests. So it's not going to be like that. I mean, good work, but sellable, repeatable, and for shelters. So those tie together really, really well. So being able to do client work, you can do shelter work too. So I'm going to work on dog photography 101 course, and that should be coming up in the next 6 months. So there you go. That's your little bonus information from me today. At the end of the hour. So yay. Have I missed any questions? Let me see. I did your question. Okay. Yay. Patty. The Russian tortoises. That's so cool. Yeah. All right. So before we go, one more time through my banners. We've got propetphotog.com. Of course, check that out. the Facebook group, Pro Pet Photog FB. If you want to email me directly, here is my email, Monique@silverpawstudio.com. Follow along on Instagram. Okay. And here is Cattail Chronicles YouTube channel, my baby channel of wildlife and nature photography with my husband. So check us out on YouTube there. What else? What am I missing? Morgan, what do you got? You have a lot of farm animals around me. I take some photos of them. How do I ask for permission to take photos for art photography? You mean of the farm owner? I would just talk to the farm owner. Just go to their door and just ask them, hey, I would love to photograph some of these for my art. Is that okay? And you might have to set up something because they're pretty busy, but I don't see why not. I would love to do that. I know someone who has like a micro farm with her family, her 2 little kids and her husband run this, and they have a lot of goats. So I always thought it would be fun to go out there. That's probably maybe an hour away or something from me. But just get to know them personally and give them back something. So if you take pictures for them, make sure you get pictures to them. You can do a little trade. But that's pretty much it. I don't like the idea of, like, we have a lot of farms here in Colorado and ranches, just kind of creeper style going over the fence when they, so just walk up to their house and ask. Yeah. Well, I've got my whiteboard. I have no small children at home, and I've got tenacity. And I really do have a drive. Okay, you all know that I have my 5 core values that I've worked on. I did the Brent Manswer Find Your Black Sheep, and I have them on the back of my phone. It's caring, creativity, service, dedication, and encouragement. Those are my 5 core values, and they just drive me in everything I do every day. So I love sharing all this with you. It's just kind of, I've wanted to be a teacher since I was in 1st grade, and I thought I could teach the class better. I was the shyest person you've ever met in your life, so I don't know how that would have worked out, but I knew that there was a better way to run that 1st grade classroom. Not saying you're 1st graders, but I'm saying that I've always wanted to teach in some capacity. So here we are. So I just love having you all here. I love being able to share my knowledge and collaborate with everybody here. So thanks for joining on this adventure that we've got going on. Yeah. And I try to be organized, and I do what I can. My life is not perfect. I'm sure you've seen that video. I can't remember what it's called, but it's not, there's thorns with the roses. Okay. Yeah. Remember that. All right. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Yay. Oh gosh. You're welcome. Yeah. Okay. So I gotta say my ending line. Y'all can say it with me. Okay. Are you gonna ready to say it with me? I love this part. As always, I wish you many woofs, purrs, and TREATSs. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks. I'll see you here next month. If you have any questions, propetphotog.com. Okay. Bye. 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 Mwah, you're the best.